3 vitamins every diabetic should take to control blood sugar levels. You clicked because you saw those words. This vitamin erases diabetes, and part of you wondered if it could actually be true. Not because you are naive, because you are tired of checking your numbers every morning and watching them refuse to budge. Tired of taking your medication exactly as prescribed and still feeling like your body is working against you. Tired of being told that this is just how it is now. If that is where you are right now, I need you to stay with me. Because what I am about to share with you is not a miracle cure, but it is something most people your age have never been told. And once you understand it, your relationship with your blood sugar is never going to look the same. You have probably been told that managing diabetes is mostly about what you eat and what you take. It is not. There is a deeper layer that almost nobody talks about, and 3 specific vitamins sit right at the center of it. Let me ask you something. Before you even get out of bed in the morning, do you already feel it? That heaviness, that low-level fatigue that does not go away, no matter how long you sleep. Maybe your fingers feel a little numb. Maybe your legs feel stiff before you even put them on the floor. Maybe you just feel off and you cannot explain why, because you are doing everything right. You are not imagining it. And it is not just age. Your body is sending you signals. And right now, it does not have what it needs to send them clearly. Is this you? Because if it is, keep watching. What I am about to show you could change the numbers you see on that meter every single morning. Not in months, in weeks. Here is what most people never get told. Diabetes is not just a sugar problem. At its core, it is a communication problem. Your cells are not receiving insulin's message clearly. Think of it like a phone call where the line keeps cutting out. The person on the other end is trying to reach you, but the connection is broken. That is what is happening between insulin and your cells when these 3 nutrients are depleted. No medication can fully fix a broken line if the underlying infrastructure is missing. A study published in 2022 followed over 400 adults over 60 with type 2 diabetes. Researchers added targeted vitamin supplementation without changing medication or diet dramatically. Within 8 weeks, participants showed measurable improvements in fasting blood sugar, insulin sensitivity, and nerve health markers. 8 weeks. That is not a long time to start feeling a difference. Now, let me tell you about Margaret. 69 years old, Ohio, 11 years managing type 2 diabetes, took her metformin faithfully, watched her carbs, walked every morning even when her knees ached. And still, every morning, her fasting glucose was between 140 and 160. Her feet tingled at night, bad enough to wake her up. Her doctor kept adjusting her medication. Nobody ever talked to her about what her body might be missing. Then she learned about these 3 vitamins. She did not change her medication or her diet. She simply added what her body had been running low on for years. At 6 weeks, her morning numbers dropped to an average of 118. The tingling in her feet was gone. And she told her daughter that for the first time in years, she woke up feeling like herself again. That is what this is about. Not erasing diabetes overnight, but giving your body the tools it has been missing so it can finally start doing its job. Before I get to the 3 vitamins, I need to tell you about the 3 mistakes most diabetics over 60 make that block everything from working. Because you could take the right vitamins and still not feel the difference if you are making any of these. Stay with me, because the 3rd one is the one almost everybody makes without realizing it. Vitamin 1, the deficiency your doctor has probably never checked. The first vitamin is vitamin D. And I know what you are thinking. You have heard of it. But the connection between vitamin D and blood sugar goes far deeper than most people realize. And the numbers around deficiency in diabetics are genuinely alarming. Your pancreatic beta cells, the ones responsible for producing insulin, have vitamin D receptors on their surface. They literally require vitamin D to function properly. When your levels are low, your pancreas cannot produce insulin as efficiently. And insulin resistance, the core problem in type 2 diabetes, is significantly worsened by vitamin D deficiency. Your cells already have trouble hearing insulin. Low vitamin D makes that worse. A 2019 study followed 312 adults over 65 with type 2 diabetes. Half received vitamin D3 supplementation, half received a placebo. After 12 weeks, the supplementation group showed a significant reduction in fasting blood glucose, an improvement in HbA1c. The placebo group showed no change. More than 70%
Among
of
people
adults
with
over
type 2
diabetes are deficient in vitamin D. Higher. Your skin produces less from sunlight as you age. Your kidneys convert it less efficiently into its active form. And metformin, one of the most common diabetes medications, further reduces your ability to absorb and utilize it. You are already behind. And your medication may be quietly widening that gap every day. Recommendation: 1,000 to 4,000 IU of vitamin D3 daily, taken with a fat-containing meal. Vitamin D is fat-soluble. Without dietary fat present, absorption drops by 30 to 50%. Ask your doctor for a 25-hydroxy vitamin D blood test before you start, so you know your baseline. Vitamin 2, the silent depletion from your own medication. The second vitamin is B12, and this one has a connection to your medication that most people on diabetes drugs have never been warned about. B12 is essential for myelin, the protective coating around your nerve fibers. Think of it like the insulation around an electrical wire. When it thins or breaks down, signals become distorted, slow, or painful. That tingling in your feet, that numbness in your fingers at night, that burning sensation in the soles of your feet. B12 is what your body uses to maintain and repair that insulation. When it is low, your nerves become increasingly vulnerable to exactly the kind of damage that chronically elevated blood sugar is already accelerating. Here is what most people on metformin have never been told. Metformin actively depletes vitamin B12. This is a well-documented pharmacological fact. Metformin blocks specific receptors in the small intestine required for B12 absorption. A landmark study in the British Medical Journal found that long-term metformin use is associated with a 30% reduction in B12 absorption. The longer you take it and the higher the dose, the more significant the depletion. And here is the part that makes this so dangerous. The symptoms of B12 deficiency look almost identical to diabetic peripheral neuropathy. Tingling, numbness, fatigue, weakness. So when those symptoms appear in a metformin patient, the assumption is that the diabetes is progressing. The B12 deficiency, making everything worse, is never checked. A 2021 review found B12 deficiency in nearly 33% of long-term metformin users over 60. 1 in 3. If you have been on metformin for more than 5 years and you have any nerve symptoms, ask your doctor to check your B12. Today, not eventually. Recommendation: 500 to 1,000 micrograms of methylcobalamin daily, not cyanocobalamin, which requires a conversion step that becomes less reliable with age. And because metformin blocks intestinal absorption, sublingual tablets that dissolve under the tongue are significantly more effective. They bypass the blocked pathway entirely. The 3 mistakes blocking your results. Mistake number 1, inconsistency. People start, take it for a week or 2. Life gets busy, they stop, restart, and then wonder why nothing changed. These vitamins work by rebuilding systems depleted over months and years. Vitamin D accumulates. Myelin rebuilds gradually. If you are stopping and starting, you are undoing the progress made during the days you were consistent. Attach your supplement to something you already do automatically every morning. Your coffee. Your existing medication. 1 pill, same time, every day. At 4 weeks of true consistency, the early signals start to arrive. Mistake number 2. Quitting before the signals appear. Dorothy, 71 years old, retired nurse. Started supplementing, saw no dramatic change in 2 weeks. Stopped. Told her daughter it did not work. What she did not know is that her body was already responding. Measurable blood sugar improvements in most studies appear between weeks 4 and 8. She stopped at 2. Commit to 8 weeks before making any judgment. That is your real evaluation window. Mistake number 3, not telling your doctor. You do not need permission, but your doctor needs the full picture. Vitamin D at higher doses affects calcium and kidney function. Magnesium interacts with certain heart and blood pressure medications. Tell your doctor what you are taking. Ask for the relevant lab tests and plan a follow-up at 3 months. This is not about getting approval. It is about having a partner who can measure whether it is working. Drop a comment below right now. Type sugar if controlling your blood sugar is your main challenge. Type nerves if nerve pain or tingling is your biggest daily struggle. 1 word. I read every single one. Vitamin 3, the master switch nobody is talking about. The 3rd vitamin is magnesium. And this is the one that is going to change how you understand your blood sugar from the ground up. About 48% of the general population is deficient in magnesium. Among people with type 2 diabetes, that number climbs to between 35 and 60%. Among older adults also taking diuretics for blood pressure or proton pump inhibitors for acid reflux, it is even higher. Both of those medication classes cause magnesium loss through the kidneys. If you take a water pill, it is pulling magnesium out of your system with every dose. Here is why this matters so directly. Magnesium is required for insulin receptors to complete their signal. When insulin binds to a receptor on your cell, it triggers an internal cascade of molecular switches that must complete for glucose to enter. Multiple steps in that cascade require magnesium as a cofactor. Without it, the receptor binds insulin correctly, the signal starts, but cannot complete. Glucose stays in your bloodstream, That is insulin resistance at the molecular level. Magnesium deficiency is not just a contributing factor. It is a direct biochemical cause. Magnesium is also required for insulin production itself. Your pancreas needs it to trigger the release mechanism that delivers insulin into your bloodstream at the right moment. Low magnesium blunts what researchers call the first phase insulin response, the initial burst of insulin that is supposed to catch a glucose spike early. When that burst is delayed or insufficient, the spike gets ahead of the insulin. Your blood sugar climbs higher than it should from meals that should not be a problem. And magnesium regulates inflammation. Chronic low-grade inflammation is one of the central drivers of insulin resistance in type 2 diabetes. Magnesium helps modulate the inflammatory pathways that feed it. When magnesium is low, those pathways become less regulated. Inflammation increases, resistance deepens, blood sugar rises further. A meta-analysis published in 2016 in Diabetes Care reviewed 18 randomized controlled trials on magnesium supplementation in type 2 diabetics. The combined data showed significant reductions in fasting blood glucose and improved insulin sensitivity, most pronounced in adults over 60 who were deficient. A 2023 study followed over 260 adults over 65 for 16 weeks. Those supplementing with magnesium glycinate showed a 0.4% reduction in HbA1c on average. For many patients, that is the difference between leaving medication unchanged and needing to escalate treatment. Now here is the connection most people never make. Magnesium supports deep sleep. It supports natural melatonin production and regulates overnight cortisol. Cortisol tells your liver to release glucose into the bloodstream. In people with disrupted sleep, that release happens more aggressively through the night, and you wake up with fasting glucose significantly higher than your bedtime reading, even without eating anything. If you go to bed at 110 and wake up at 145, that gap is cortisol driven. Magnesium taken in the evening helps close it from two directions at once. Harold, 73 years old, Michigan, 14 years with type 2 diabetes, compliant patient, but his morning numbers ran between 140 and 160, while his bedtime readings sat around 100 to 115. His doctor attributed the gap to the dawn phenomenon. Harold started magnesium glycinate at 300 milligrams before bed. 2 weeks later, he was sleeping through the night. By week 4, his morning readings were averaging 122. The gap narrowed from 40 points to 10. Form matters. Magnesium oxide, the cheap form in most supplements, has a bioavailability of about 4%. It is the form responsible for the stomach problems and the feeling that magnesium does nothing. Magnesium glycinate has a bioavailability of approximately 80%. A 20-fold difference. Gentle on the stomach, well absorbed. Dose, 200 to 400 milligrams of elemental magnesium from glycinate daily. In the evening, the complete picture. Here is the reframe I want you to carry out of this video. Your diabetes has not been treated incompletely because your doctor does not care. It has been treated incompletely because the nutritional layer underneath your medication has never been addressed. Vitamin D helps your pancreas produce insulin and your cells respond to it. B12 protects the nerves your diabetes is already damaging, and that your medication may be quietly depleting further. And magnesium enables the entire insulin signaling pathway at the cellular level, supports proper insulin release, regulates inflammation, and keeps your overnight numbers in check. These three work as a system. Each one supports the others. And the gap between what your medication is trying to do and what it is actually able to do may have everything to do with the nutritional foundation it is trying to work on. Quick summary. Vitamin D3, 1,000 to 4,000 IU daily with a fat-containing meal. Vitamin B12 as methylcobalamin, 500 to 1,000 micrograms daily. Sublingual if you are on metformin. Magnesium glycinate, 200 to 400 milligrams daily in the evening. Get your baseline levels tested before you start. Repeat labs in 3 months. Bonus. Do this tonight. Pick up your current multivitamin. Read the label. Check the form of B12. If it says cyanocobalamin, it is the less effective form. Check the form of magnesium. If it says oxide, you are absorbing almost none of it. Check the dose of vitamin D. Most multivitamins contain 400 to 800 IU, far below what most diabetics over 60 need. Most people discover they have been taking the wrong forms and insufficient doses for years. That is not money wasted. That is information. Add the right individual supplements where your multivitamin falls short. One change tonight. Most people skip this step. The ones who do not are the ones who start feeling a difference first. Consistency matters more than intensity. Small steps, repeated over weeks, create the kind of change you can actually feel on that morning meter. You do not need to be perfect. You need to be consistent. If this video gave you something new, hit the like button. It helps someone else your age who is fighting the same fight find this when they need it. Share it with someone managing diabetes who feels like nothing is working. And subscribe, because the next episode covers the magnesium and sleep connection in full depth. If your morning numbers are consistently higher than your bedtime readings, that video was made for you. You are not failing at this. Your body has been working without the tools it needs. Now, you know what 3 of them are. And now you can start.